Hey guys, my name is Tamal Acharya. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about a very important issue which we call it as climate change. And to illustrate better in this fact, I want to draw your attention to a more recent and one of the most important article that has been published by The Guardian. It says that avoiding meat and dairy is the single biggest way to reduce your impact on Earth. We will get into this article in much more detail, but before that, I want to draw your attention to why it is very important to tackle the climate crisis or the climate change. If you look at all the social issues that are prevailing in the society, for example, the unemployment levels, social inequality, mass extinction of species, mass migration of people into different countries, all these social issues are being driven by climate change. And that's why it is very important to tackle the climate change by living a life in a more sustainable manner. When it comes to sustainability, it's very important to know about the definition of sustainability. Sustainability is the process by which we can reduce our carbon footprint to the maximum level. And for that, we can analyze what we are eating or what lifestyle changes that we are currently going on or we currently are undermining in our daily lives. If we want to make a significant impact in this world or to tackle the climate crisis, yes, I believe that it is very important for the government to put uh, the important laws and regulations by which the carbon footprint can be reduced, right? But it's also important for us, for all the individual citizens like me, that we must take our individual decisions in such a way that we can minimize the impact of carbon footprint or we can minimize the environmental impact of climate change, right? For that, we must reduce the meat and dairy consumption, or we must avoid the meat and dairy consumption to the best possible manner. And why am I saying this? So you can get a detailed overview about this statement by putting your attention into this article, which is presented by The Guardian. It states that the biggest analysis to date reveals huge footprint of livestock. It provides just 18% of calories but takes up almost 83% of the farmland. For those who doesn't know what a livestock means, it means the farmland of animals, right? The farming of animals for the animal agriculture. Now it says that for the global production, for the global animal agriculture production, it uses 83% of the farmland by heavy deforestation, by exploitation of wildlife, right? And it just provides 18% of calories to the whole mankind. New research shows that without meat and dairy consumption, global farmland could use could be reduced by more than 75%. And that is an area which is equivalent to US, China, European Union, and Australia combined, right? And it can still feed the world. It means that if we can adopt a plant-based diet, we can reduce the environmental impact, or we can cover up the 75% of the farmland that is used for the animal agriculture production. And the new analysis shows that while the meat and dairy provide just 18% of the calories and 37% of protein, it uses the vast majority, like 83% of the farmland, and only produces 60% of the greenhouse gas emissions. The scientists have also found that the very lowest impact meat and dairy products still cause much more environmental harm than the least sustainable vegetable and cereal growing plants. That has been published in the journal Science. It has been created a huge data set based on almost 40,000 farms in 119 countries, and it has covered almost 40 food products that represents 90% of all the food that are eaten by the mankind. To assess the full impact of the food, it is very important to analyze what the major contribution that the animal agriculture production is having on this planet. So, according to this research, the freshwater usage of this animal agriculture production is huge. It accounts for almost near to 80% of the freshwater usage. For the climate change emissions, right? For the mass level of water pollution, soil erosion, it has all been caused by the animal agriculture production. To conclude on this factor, we must say that it's very important to adopt a plant-based diet because if we want to really make a change in our society to tackle the effects of climate change, we have to understand that how the climate change is being driven by the animal agriculture production. Now, coming to the main fact that how the animal agriculture contributes to the climate change, the farmland which uses cow animals, right? The cows produces methane, which is a very dangerous greenhouse gas emissions, and for that, this methane releases to the atmosphere, and this causes the global warming, right? And this leads to more rise in temperature, and accordingly we can see that we have harsh winters, we can scorchy heat summer seasons in the coming years, right, or in the past years. So it is very important to look at all these factors and to really examine the fact that we must change the tide, or we must cut off the meat and dairy products of our plate.